You know, there's a saying that goes, the truth will set you free. But for Renee Vaughan, that truth nearly cost her everything. Just a few years back, she was serving on the front lines as a police officer in Los Angeles, believing she was making the world a safer place. It's ironic, isn't it? The very badge she wore with pride became a symbol of betrayal, a constant reminder of a night that changed everything. Renee was the kind of person who would stick up for the little guy who felt safer with a badge in hand. But as she navigated the tough streets of LA, she found her faith in that badge crumbling. Fears crept in, the fear of losing her truth, the fear of becoming one of the many who were silenced by the system she once believed in. Friends said she was naive, dreaming too big outside the confines of rank and duty. After all, sticking her neck out could lead to losing everything, including her life. But for Renee, the real breaking point came when she witnessed something she couldn't unsee: a fellow officer shooting an unarmed teenager. How do you reconcile that? How do you live with those images while wondering if one day you'll be the one protecting the guilty? That moment ignited something fierce within her, a fire that would eventually lead her down a path she could barely imagine, and it all began with the decision to speak up. Little did she know that was just the beginning of her fight for justice. I remember that day vividly, the air thick with the sting of betrayal. It felt surreal, standing there in the department's conference room, surrounded by faces I once considered family. I could hear the murmur of disbelief ripple through the crowd as Captain Highfield delivered the news. "We're letting you go," he said, his voice devoid of empathy, betraying no hint of the personal sacrifice I had made. "We can't have someone like you representing us." Someone like me, I shot back, disbelief morphing into indignation. Someone who believes in justice, someone who stands up for the truth. My heart raced, anger boiling beneath the surface. "Enough," he snapped, and the weight of his dismissal hit me like a physical blow. I felt the laughter in the room, those snickers from officers who'd once cheered me on. I was no longer their ally. I had become a threat to their carefully built shield of silence. Later that night, sitting in my car, I allowed tears of frustration to fall. I thought about Enrique Rodriguez, the young boy with dreams turned to nightmares because of a system designed to protect itself. They didn't just fire me, they'd chosen to protect their own over the truth, and I felt the anger boiling. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white fury, pushing me to act. "You think you can silence me?" I whispered to the shadows outside my window, a promise forming in the depths of my rage. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." A fire ignited within me. I was going to fight, and I wouldn't back down. So there I was, diving headfirst into the chaos of the case, thinking, maybe, just maybe, I could make a dent in this corrupt machine. But spoiler alert, I was in for a world of hurt. I mean, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But I often wondered if I was just one botched case away from becoming the poster child for what definitely will. The harassment started subtly, petty stuff, like my car being keyed with a message that was less than complimentary, and the friendly reminder graffiti saying "snitch" across the side of my office. Ah, nothing like a bit of urban art to help you feel wanted. You laugh, but trust me when you see your car bearing more messages than a teenager's diary, it stings. But hey, who doesn't love a good dose of self-reputation? Assassination in the morning, then there were those phone calls. Oh boy. One minute it's you better back off, and the next it's we know where you live. All that combined made me realize I wasn't just fighting for the Rodriguez family's dignity, I was literally betting my safety. Not exactly what they taught in the cop to lawyer transition class, right? And then there were the courtroom whispers. Every smirk planted in my direction felt like a stab wound from someone who supposedly stood by me in blue. I could practically hear their collective sneer saying, "What happened to the team spirit?" Look, at some point it felt less like justice and more like a survival game complete with rules I was unaware of. Yet amidst the fear and chaos, a flicker of stubbornness ignited within me. I mean, if I wasn't going to fight back now when I'd become a professional at dodging intimidation tactics, and each little victory, no matter how small, felt like a shot of espresso to my weary soul, all the noise surrounding me only fueled my fire. Just a storm before the breakthrough, right? But I'd be damned if I went down without a fight. Everything felt like it was crumbling around her. The courtroom, once a sanctuary, felt like a cage. Renee paused, heart racing, breath quickening. Memories flooded back, whispers, threats, the cold steel of a badge used as a weapon against the truth. Just moments ago, she was just a target. Now she could feel the air shift. Footsteps approaching, laughter echoing. Then it came, that defining moment. Mark Ellis's fist flying through the air, rage personified. Pain rippled through her, but in that split second something ignited within. She moved, instinct taking over. The judo technique felt like breathing, natural freeing. He hit the ground, shock painted across faces. In that chaos, a seed of resilience burst forth. She stood tall, voice steady. "This isn't just about me," she declared as cameras flashed and the buzz of the crowd swelled. With each word, doubt ebbed away, replaced by an undeniable strength. She was more than a former officer, more than a victim. She was a warrior. Renee felt the tide shift, a wave of support washing over her. Emails flooded in messages of solidarity. No longer alone in her fight. It was surreal, a moment suspended in time. Yet it felt so real, the beating of a drum echoing the call for justice. This was her chance. The justice she once served was turning back toward her, a churning mighty river of hope. From despair she rose. Fueled by purpose, she embraced the role of an advocate, unyielding and unstoppable. A quiet realization emerged. She had the power to break the silence. As the media turned their gaze, the spark inside her began to blaze, brightening the path ahead. She would not just fight for the Rodriguez family. She would light the way for those who hadn't found their voice yet. And in that moment, Renee transformed from a casualty of a flawed system into the beacon of change. As the trial reaches its climax, the atmosphere in the courtroom shifts dramatically when Renee, with unwavering resolve, steps forward, presenting irrefutable evidence of the corruption that has haunted her and the families she fights for. The gallery is silent, the weight of her words resonating like thunder. Slide after slide, she uncovers the truth, revealing not just the tarnished badge of Sergeant Mark Ellis, but exposing a system that had turned a blind eye to its own failures. Your honor, she begins, her voice steady yet laced with emotion. This is not just about one flawed officer. This is about a broken system that silences the very people it's sworn to protect. The courtroom hangs in suspense as she locks eyes with Ellis, an unspoken understanding passing between them, a mix of fear, regret, but also empowerment. With every piece of evidence she lays bare, memory flashes through her mind, moments of pure fear and whispered threats. But today it isn't about her past. It's a reckoning for the families who have lost everything. As the final piece of evidence hits the table, a headline flashes across a nearby screen. Whistleblower takes down corrupt officer, a fight for justice. When the jury returns with a verdict, relief washes over Renee like a cleansing rain. The handshake with the Rodriguez family feels monumental, a shared triumph over adversity, their tears of joy mingling with her quiet smirk that whispers, "I did it." But as she leaves the courtroom, these momentous achievements don't erase the scars left behind. They simply add depth to the story of resilience she wears as her armor. Success, she reflects, doesn't mean forgetting. It means standing strong, knowing every struggle was worth it for the justice she continues to pursue. As I stand here now, reflecting on the tumultuous journey of Renee Vaughan, it's impossible not to recognize the profound metamorphosis she has undergone. Once a police officer entwined in a system that shielded its own, Renee transitioned into an unwavering advocate for justice, a role not without its sacrifices. Through her relentless pursuit of truth, she learned that power isn't just about authority, it's about responsibility and transparency. Trust once shattered can take a lifetime to rebuild, if it can be rebuilt at all. Her struggle against the painful ghosts of her past urges us to question, when confronting injustice, is revenge a form of justice, or does it ultimately corrupt the seeker? Can the fight for accountability ever truly wash away the scars of wrongdoing? Or does it leave every participant marked? Renee's story illustrates this delicate balance. She faced the torrent of retaliation, yet emerged steadfast in her convictions, avoiding the destructive allure of vengeance. But what cost is the chase for retributive justice more vital than the pursuit of healing, both personally and socially? The answer may lie somewhere in the discord between personal vengeance and societal responsibility. As we ponder these complexities, I invite you to share your thoughts. Have you experienced the throes of conflict in the name of justice? Have you wrestled with the desire for revenge? Let's spark a conversation in the comments, because in the search for truth, every voice matters. What legacy do we choose to leave behind? That's what will linger long after the story ends.